House Chair, the President has a tendency to run away when we speak here. He did it during SONA, and I see he's doing it again. But his colleagues will inform him. We must begin by conveying our heartfelt condolences to the family of Tlamulo Samo, a 19-year-old young man from Limpopo whose life was brutally cut short in Mossel Bay yesterday. We extend our sympathies to his parents, his sister, Nonhlanhla, and all those who loved him. It is believed that Tlamulo was a victim of the lawlessness which has engulfed our nation over the past months and weeks. Welcome back, Mr. President. House Chairperson, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the EFF has for many years warned against the normalization of Afrophobic vigilantism and the hatred against Black Africans would eventually cost innocent South African lives. This is precisely because the cousin of xenophobia is tribalism. The cousin of Afrophobia is tribalism. The two are simply inseparable. Mr. President, what should concern you even more as head of state is that these vigilante groups are not operating in secret. They are breaking the law openly in front of law enforcement officers. They are beating and assaulting people in front of the police. Why should we not believe that this violence is state-sponsored? Why should we not believe that this anarchy is sponsored by you as the state when crime is committed in front of those who are supposed to be custodians of the law? Where is the voice of the Minister of the Police? Mr. President, when you rise and respond here, you must reiterate and outline what you will be doing to address this crisis before more South African lives are lost. You must never get tired of explaining yourself to the people of South Africa. Mr. President, in your State of the Nation address, you stood before this House and committed to the employment of an additional 10,000 labor inspectors to protect South African workers from exploitation and address non-compliance with labor legislation. Where are the 10,000 additional labor inspectors, Mr. President? Your Minister of Small Business stood before South Africans and announced 500 million fund for spaza short for South Africans. Where is the 500 million fund for spaza short for South Africans? How many township entrepreneurs have touched it and felt it? Mr. President, in the same SONA, you promised the country a new university in Ekurhuleni, a promise which you made in 2020, by the way, 6 years ago. Yet the Minister of Education, Higher Education, has failed to identify a mere site, Mr. President. There is no site for a commitment that you made 6 years ago, no foundation, no construction team, and no building plan. Mr. President, these ministers clearly do not take you seriously. When a president speaks and makes a commitment before the nation, ministers and government departments are supposed to work around the clock, day and night, to ensure that the commitments made by the president become the reality. Yet, time and again, your promises are ignored by your own ministers. Do you not think that you have lost the moral authority to discipline them? Because leadership is not just about giving instructions. Leadership is about setting an example. How do you demand accountability from your ministers when South Africans are still waiting for accountability from you, Mr. President? How do you insist on transparency from your cabinet when the Phala Phala scandal continues to cast a shadow over your presidency? Mr. President, South Africans watched in disbelief as allegations emerged that millions of dollars were hidden and stuffed under couches in your private farm and residence. They watched as questions were raised about how that money got there, how much was there, and why was that money not declared. I heard some members of the ANC raising a point of order. It's not the EFF that said the money was not declared, it's SARS and the South African Reserve Bank. But perhaps the reason why so many South Africans remain uneasy about Phala Phala is because it reminds us of your questionable relationship with big business interests, Mr. President. It has revived questions that have followed you throughout your entire political life. You know, Mr. President, when many of us were growing up in the student movement, we were told that you were the preferred candidate for big business. We were told that you enjoyed the support and mentorship of the Rupert, of the Manel, and the Oppenheimer family. We were told that they regarded you as their guy. We were told that you are their protege. We were told that when President Nelson Mandela chose Thabo Mbeki as his deputy president, you became so upset that you didn't even attend President Mandela's inauguration. You left politics, Mr. President. You went into business, and years later, you came back. So the question we must ask is, what made you come back to politics, Mr. President? Who persuaded you to leave business and return to politics? We ask this because South Africa now knows that you tried to resign as president on 2 occasions. And this is not a rumor. Your national chairperson of the ANC, sitting right in front of me, confirmed this thing. Yet somehow you remained. Who exactly persuaded you to stay, Mr. President? Was it really the ANC leadership? Was it really those who sit behind you in this house? Or was the pressure coming from somewhere else, Mr. President? Was it Stellenbosch which concluded that despite the crisis facing our country, you remain the safest pair of hands for their interests? Are they the ones who told you not to resign even when unemployment remains at catastrophic levels under your leadership? Are they the ones telling you not to resign even when millions of young people wake up every morning without hope of finding work? Are they the ones telling you not to resign even when workers struggle with rising costs, rising petrol, rising diesel, rising wages, deepening their further poverty? Are they the ones telling you not to resign, Mr. President, even when municipalities are failing to deliver basic services to our people? Are they the ones telling you not to resign, Mr. President, even when the Constitutional Court told you and your party that what you did was wrong by using your majority to try and hide the truth? Are they the ones who are telling you not to resign, President, even when your own conscience is telling you to resign, Mr. President? Mr. President, Phala Phala is your Achilles heel. You know, when we watch movies, Chair, couches, furniture, and things like fridges, beds, and wardrobes are often used by criminal syndicates to transport drugs, to transport money, to transport weapons, and even to transport and traffic human organs. They use furniture to conceal the criminal proceeds and move things around without and avoiding public scrutiny. This is why many South Africans will struggle, Mr. President, to accept the explanation that this money just found its way into your couch. Because when you hide money into the couch, you must first damage the couch. You must cut the couch. You must create a hole in the couch to stuff that money in. So what exactly happened in your Phala Phala farm, Mr. President? When people hear that millions of dollars were discovered inside furniture, they do not think about your ordinary farming operations. They think about the methods which are used all over the world by criminal cartels to hide things that cannot withstand public scrutiny. This is why you fear the impeachment committee. This is why the ANC fears the impeachment committee. We know that you don't care about the vote that will come at the end. What you are scared of is the scrutiny when we continue to dig deeper into what happened in the Phala Phala farm, Mr. President. And when that moment comes, you will sit alone on that chair. No network of powerful friends will be with you. No proximity to wealth and business elites will be able to shield you from the truth that will be placed on the records. Not the Ruperts, not the Oppenheimers, not Stellenbosch, not the Manels, and not even your own caucus of the ANC. Mr. President, presidents and prime ministers across the world have actually resigned for far lesser things. They've resigned for simple lies. They've resigned for simple scandals. But even when the Constitutional Court says to you, you are wrong, you are insisting on digging your heels in. Mr. President, history will not remember you for Phala Phala alone. History will remember you for refusing an opportunity to resign, even when the people of South Africa wanted to give you a dignified and honorable exit. Do the honorable thing, Mr. President, and resign.
The Honorable Douglas.